Our final presenter will be Orex Minerals. We have Ben Whiting, President and CEO. Orex has a portfolio of silver and gold projects in Mexico, as well as projects in Canada. Take it away, Ben.
Thank you very much. And I hope that can be seen now. Up to the top. Of course, the previous speakers have really set the stage for us very well. And with Lauren talking about a lot of the chemistry and the application of the models, Steve bringing in the why invest side of things, Doug jumping in with the historic aspect of mining in the various camps, with Chris backing that up, and Rob talking about Durango State, which is where his project is. Well, I'll talk about the Mexican projects of Orex, and Orex is also in Durango State. Forward-looking statements. My airline ticket is for Saturday. I fly back down to Mexico. And one forward-looking statement is I'm scheduled to have breakfast with the governor of Durango State, and he'll be introducing the new governor-elect. From a political jurisdiction viewpoint, the northern half of Mexico is really mining-friendly territory, and that's certainly a forward-looking statement coming on. So Steve mentioned the Bellacara group, and he's here, works with me in the corporate development side as I provide technical assistance on his team. One name that he didn't mention there was Tatiana Alva has joined our team. And Tatiana is a mid-career geologist with a degree from Lima, Peru, but did her master's work at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. And so she brings a new, fresh approach that we have to the technical side of our geological team. And we certainly welcome her into the group. Share structure, similar to some of the other companies here. There's a strong institutional investors side with Ingalls and Snyder of New York, US global investors out of Texas, Sprott in Toronto, the Contrarian Fund is in there as well, and several others that make up the institutional side. Fresnillo, the world's largest silver mining company, has a 3% interest in Orex as well. Management takes part, and with 15% of it. I want to point out one thing here is that Orex holds a 2% net smelter return on a gold deposit in Sweden. So that sounds a bit strange for this mix, and part of it was we spun out Barsele from Orex. Orex was the parent company, and so when we spun out Barsele Gold, projects became a joint venture with Agnico Eagle in Sweden, but there is still an asset in Orex for that. I'll concentrate on the first two projects here. They're both located in Durango. Fresnillo is the world's largest silver producer, and Pan American Silver is the second largest silver producer. Right in the heart of Durango, it's sometimes referred to as a heart-shaped state as well. It's the silver trend. On that property near the city of Durango is where Rob talked about his Southern Silver projects. You can also see the city of Zacatecas is in the next state to the southeast, and that's where Doug and Chris were talking about their projects. So we're in the same silver trend with some of the world's largest silver deposits. Sandra is up closer towards Guanaceví, which is where Endeavor Silver is, and Coneto is right in the heart area of that trend. Start with Coneto. It's a beautiful countryside. It's ranching country. We're on the eastern side of the Sierra Madres in a place called the Mesa Central, or the Central Plateau area, and it has a long mining history. In this camp, it's a window of the lower volcanic succession surrounded by the upper volcanics. So about 17 kilometers northwest southeast and about 4 kilometers wide, you can see the host rocks for the most of the mineralization. And there are over 50 veins in this particular window. When you drive into the camp, you can actually place your hand right on that time contact of the upper volcanics and the lower volcanics where it's exposed in a road cut. So as Doug mentioned, exploring in historic mining districts, Coneto Mining Camp has over 450 years of mining history. But generally, the older mining enterprises could not go below the water table. And so old workings that you find on the property generally are quite shallow. We've explored below that, and the mineralizing system goes considerably deeper. At the end of 2021, the fourth quarter, we put out the first 43101 resource estimate on this property. Fresnillo is our joint venture partner, 45% ownership on a good sized land package is what we have, the 45%. Here's an example of some of the diamond drill intercepts. What I point out here is that it is gold and silver. Silver equivalent, you could quote it, or you could do it in gold equivalent. Fresnillo is looking at this as gold equivalent, but that depends on the ratio of the metal prices. What I do point out here as well is that some of these intercepts are in structures that are exposed at surface where the mining might have gone 50 to up to 100 meters down in a few places on the property. But we're hitting intercepts that are 300 and 400 meters down the drill holes, 300 meters below surface. And you could see that you do get some good silver and gold values in some of these hits. Steve mentioned metallurgical recovery. It's important in this particular case. The 5 zones that were in the resource estimate, or 5 of the 6 zones, averaged over 93% for gold, with 98.5% coming from the highest. Silver was still dissolving, or coming into the dissolution after the 96th hour, but it was also moving into the 75 to 85% recovery. Very good metallurgical situation here. On Coneto, since Orex and Fresnillo were involved, we've had 106 drill holes, 38,000 meters plus on 12 targets. There are about 50 veins known on the property, but these were the first 12. And this is what the material looks like in the shallow areas. This one comes from Loma Verde, and Loma Verde has never been mined there, but this would be a shallow intercept, and you can see the gold and silver grades in a material that has been oxidized from surface weathering. If you go deeper down, you're into the heart of the mineralizing system. This particular one is on the Santo Nino, and it shows textures that shows that the fluids were boiling, and that here you not only have the gold and silver, but the copper, lead, and zinc are showing up, because this is one of the deeper intercepts. So the classic zonations, moving from precious metals into base metals, and it would be in a series of pulses. As Lauren had mentioned, these things often occur as pulses. This is beautiful textures, and geologists really like to see this kind of thing. The resource estimate is in 6 lodes. Loma Verde is very steeply dipping. It's nearly vertical. Impulsora looks a little bit larger on this map, but it's a slightly shallower dip, and so it shows up as larger. But these are the ones, and you can see that trend of the northwest southeast for a lot of the structures, and some north-south veins. So Loma Verde is in the north-south. There's another one called Palma that's north-south that was in the historic mine. The first inferred mineral resource estimate came out, so the issue date October last fall, and you can see here that if you quote it in gold equivalent ounces, this one is 538,000 ounces of gold equivalent. Thinking in terms of silver, we're at about 40 million ounces of silver equivalent. So this really is a gold-silver system. And that's the distribution that we see on as far as grades go. Moving north to the joint venture with Pan American Silver. What I want to point out to you on this slide is a little green dot, bright green dot in the center. That's the drill rig. On this hillside, there are over 65 drill holes, And because we use man-portable drill rigs, we maintain a very low environmental footprint. And so we recover them, we bring them in on ATV trails that we can make by hand, and then recontour those ATV trails and preserve the environment very well. But right at surface here is where the discovery was made a few years ago of the Belarus deposit, which is where our current resource is. It's a big land package now that we've combined Pan American Silver's ground and Orex's minerals ground. We had a previous joint venture partner, Coneto Resources. So Pan American bought out Coneto Resources and added their claims into the project. Overall, in the southwest or southeast side is the Belarus block, and that's where the resource is. In the north central part, there's a Mina San Francisco. It's a small artisanal mine, family operation that is in production. The Belarus block is a lower temperature distal deposit. As we move towards that northwest and moving towards the west, we're seeing more higher temperature minerals. So we have a very large land package. We've laid out a phase 1 and phase 2. It says proposed drilling. Phase 1 is happening as I speak here today. At the Belarus deposit area, look at the depths here of these drill holes. The first hole that went into it, it started at 1 meter down, so there was casing from 0 to 1. 1 meter down to 62 meters down, 359 grams of silver per ton. This is a silver-dominated system here. All of these drill holes in the Belarus deposit are relatively shallow because it's a tabular disseminated silver deposit. The first resource estimate came out in 2016. It has 33.3 million ounces of silver, and that resource did very well for our stock at the time. And its tabular nature shows that there's a stripping ratio of a less than 1 to 1. So you wonder, well, what issues might come up? What we did find was there was some metallurgical issues because these are manganese oxides and hydroxides. Pan American Silver got involved with this project, even knowing that these oxides and hydroxides have some questions about them, but their metallurgical team will be taking a look at what happens for this material and how they can handle it. You can always get the silver out of the rock. Whether you could get the silver out of the rock at the most economical approach is what they'll be looking at. And so that's the stage that the Pan American team has. Meanwhile, we're running the drilling program on the property. This is what the rock looks like in hand sample. There was no goss in there to point people to it. In this particular area, the Belarus, there's no gossan. It looks like a piece of concrete. That sample at the upper left, 254 grams per ton of silver. It's just disseminated silver and some silver halides, which are easy to work with. There's a bit of native silver in there and silver oxides. If you look at the lower left side, you've got silver where you've got some of these stringers that formed in the system, and that's where you get the higher grade hits, the kilogram material silver. This photograph where you see the pickup truck in the upper photograph, that's where the Belarus deposit is. But notice in the distance is Cerro Rojo. It's the red hill. It's the place that has these gossans. And it's also as a place where we're seeing an increase in the temperature of minerals as you move towards that northwest. So some of the drilling that we will be doing in exploration will be more towards that target area. Easy access throughout the place. You can see a small town there is a source for local labor. The San Francisco mine is the small artisanal mine where we're finding a lot of native silver, and they send it directly to the smelter. Hand cob it, no mill, directly to smelter ore. So one other project in Orex, if people are interested, we're going to be putting it up for a sale or optioning. It's in the West Kootenay region of British Columbia. It has a small gold resource. So that's outside of Mexico, not for today. So mineral resource summary for Orex's share in the joint ventures. We have about 36 million ounces of silver so far, and the reports are available for 43-101 in all of these reports. So current activities, the metallurgical results and mineral resource. SRK recommends a new exploration program for Coneto. We're mapping and lithogeochemical sampling program completed for Sandra. We're drilling as we speak. Community engagement programs are going on. So most of us do get involved for their local community. And we're looking at some acquisitions, that there are some interesting projects that could be added to the portfolio. There is more to be discovered, and I think that's the best place to break at this stage. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Ben, for the informative presentation.